Hey everyone, Onepeg here. This video is going to be a little different. I'm still going to speak live tomorrow evening with Terry and SDF when we do the developer QA, but my voice has been in a rough spot for a while now. I finally was able to see a doctor about it. Long story short, I have a small hemorrhage on one of my vocal folds that turned into a little polyp. Kinda looks like a bump. That polyp is rubbing on the other vocal fold and causing a small nodule. My orders are to be on full vocal rest 5 days, but since I'm going to be talking tomorrow evening for an hour or so, I'm trying to get as much healing in as I can between now and then. In the meantime, that means using this AI voice model of myself that I cloned, and while it isn't perfect, it's something that for now will get the job done. Even if it does sound kind of weird, so apologies if I sound a bit not like me. So during my live streams, my interaction with the community will be a little sporadic because I'll have to type things to respond to people, and I'll have some common things to respond to people set up on a button push. There's definitely some joke in here with having me shutting the F up being good for my health, but I'm not smart enough to make a good enough punchline. Anyway, onto the patch notes and hidden changes, and again, a special thank you to Virus for putting in the work, data mining out all of the changes. Dude is a legend. Overall, patch showed a lot of shifting of stats for a wide variety of things and some functional changes to a bunch of mechanics, mainly to Fighter, Barbarian, Ogre, Druid, with a minor nerf to Rangers. Some sweeping balance changes for weapons and shields, and stat value increases for gray and white gear. We also have some important dates. Date 1. Tomorrow, December 1st, I'll be doing a live Q&A session with Terry and SDF at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come by the live stream on Twitch or here on YouTube where I'll be simultaneously casting that. Date 2. December 5th, the Jacko Lantern Merchant will be leaving us and will be replaced by Jolly Nicholas. Spend your candy corn on the merchants prior to, then also any crafted gear and any gear bought from the special vendors now show their stats instead of having them hidden, so you once again know what you're buying. Date 3. December 18th is the date of the wipe, so anyone looking to push the leaderboard needs to get it done by then. Also, in mentioning the leaderboard, we have our rewards as well as changes to the leaderboard rules. Now, there can only be one redemption for each tier per account. This is a change from prior seasons where you could claim the physical items like gold bags multiple times. For Pathfinder, it is a zombie skin, but no word on stats. Voyager is a cauldron campfire. For Exemplar, it is a rucksack searching emote that happens when resting. And for Demigod, it is an undead Vanguard nameplate, which is what it is listed as in the game files, of which we are unsure as to how it will be displayed exact. Our best guess is this will be in a user interface update that comes with the next wipe. For Fighter, Defense Mastery perk now allows them to go over the 65% PDR cap and allows them to get to 75%. They also made the spell reflection skill persist until a spell is blocked, meaning you can turn it on and leave it on, and the spell reflect effect lasts for 3 seconds after it reflects a spell. This means they can do an awful lot of shenanigans to prepare in advance and then reflect back an entire volley of magic missiles in varying direction. As a reminder, the reflect doesn't follow the trajectory of the angle it was fired from when reflected. Is reflected in whatever direction you aim it in. Obviously, this will be difficult with a shield raised, but I have a feeling some of the sweaty fellows are looking forward to making this highlight reel. The cooldown for spell reflection was also lowered from 24 to 18 seconds. Barbarian had the same treatment that Fighters did for damage reduction, but for magic damage in the Iron Will talent going from 65 to 75%. Because if it's one thing that Barbarians needed, it's another buff. Rogues had a major change done to their Hide skill and Hide Mastery perk, making the bonus duration of Hide Mastery 1.5x duration instead of 2.5x, but gave Hide 2 stacks. This could actually end up being insane for Rogue burst damage as they can double stack their ambush activation, and also allows them to ambush someone with another Hide charge in reserve to try to gain a bit of distance on escape. I'm not sure if I agree with the Hide Mastery duration reduction, as Hide was already a pretty short duration unless you started stacking buff duration gear, but I do like the mix-up potential of having an extra Hide charge. In addition to these changes, Rogues also lost the ability to pickpocket gamers in the arena, and Poison Weapons healing reduction debuff was increased from 10% per stack to 15% per stack. This makes the total healing reduction potential increase from 50% to 75% if the Rogue is able to apply 5 stacks. For Ranger, their backstep cooldown was nerfed slightly to 12 seconds from 10 seconds. Druids when in Panther form receive slightly more healing, improved to a 15% heal penalty instead of 25%. Bear form Druids got a small amount of action speed given back to them at 25% speed from 30%. Druid's Tree of Life spell now also heals for 15 health over 10 seconds and also has 50% plus healing scaling. For non-Druids, this spell cannot be cast on yourself, but gives a party member +5 to all stats and gives 40 recoverable health over 10 seconds. Adding a heal to this ability is actually insane and will likely become a primary spell for any Druid looking to play more of a caster backline. Giving 5 all to an initiator plus a hot and a health bar you can bandage is nuts. Impact resistance resistance for Bardiche, quarterstaff. Flute was increased, which means that the ability to riposte with a flute when blocking with it will have a smaller window of time to activate it. And the movement speed penalty for every shield was reduced, making people holding shields run faster than before by around 40%, a substantial change. Now for the hidden stuff. First, there is a new enemy in the game. That is the living statue. Saw animations for this gargoyle statue in the game files a while back, but the enemy hadn't yet been activated in the files. Now there is a chance that the statue comes to life and attacks you with some very large and damaging halberd swings. In this short from Petro, you can see the animation and how aggressive he is. You can find him in modules on ruins like Bathhouse and Chapel, anywhere that the statue was perched on its pedestal previously. All gray quality gear is now 2 points of a base stat instead of 1. All white quality gear is now 3 points of a base stat instead of 2, if they are gear pieces that are a combination of stats. What was the lesser stat of the two seems to have been increased by a point. For example, occultist boots were 2 knowledge and 1 will, but are now 2 knowledge and 2 will. There were also large changes to weapon damage ranges. I'll show you all the values on the screen for whatever I don't mention, but some of the highly favored weapons saw rather large, sometimes very large decreases in damage, like the Bardiche, which saw an 8-point reduction in damage at the unique level from previous, to a damage increase of damage to crossbows by 1 to 2 points. Crossbow 1 doesn't make sense to me. Healing and damage of the ceremonial staff was buffed by a considerable amount. Crystal Ball was nerfed. Crystal Sword was slightly buffed at the bottom end and slightly nerfed at the top end. Felling Axe was buffed. Grim Smile Ring had a vigor point shaved from it. Other gloves lost a stat point from each rank, or from will or dex depending on the quality. Legendary Longbow got a slight damage buff, which again doesn't make sense. Palan lost a point. Burning Star gained a point. Spear damage was buffed by 1 to 2 points per rank. Del damage was increased by 1 to 2 points per rank. Spellbook damage lost a point. Survival Bow gained 1 to 2 points per rank. Windlass lost between 1 and 4 points of damage depending on rank, which is finally something for ranged meta I agree with. The Wizard Staff saw a massive nerf of 3 points of damage from all ranks. And there were major changes to random modifiers where you can now roll higher values for action speed. Spell Haste, physical damage bonus, magical damage bonus, max health bonus, armor rating, magic resistance, and projectile reduction for just about every item where you can get these mainly percentage increased statistical values. Again, these are shown on the screen for those of you that want a complete list. Props to Saint for wading through all of this text. Overall, these changes to me look like a win. I still don't think the amount of damage for longbow and crossbow needed to be increased, nor do I think that Barbarian needed any more magic resistance. But I do like that there are additional defenses capable of being built into gear to reduce things like projectile damage. It seems as though for survivability, the answer to a lot of issues that many of us are pondering against the damage increases for ranged meta might just be to start hammering projectile damage reduction into our builds. It helps a lot against the big numbers, to be sure, and also reduces the damage of projectile-based spell attacks like Fireball, Magic Missile, Dark Bolt as well. Overall, these changes to me look like a win. Still don't think the amount of damage for longbow and crossbow needed to be increased. Do I think that Barbarian needed any more magic resistance? But I do like that there are additional defenses capable of being built into gear to reduce things like projectile damage. It seems as though for survivability, answer to a lot of issues that many of us are pondering against the damage increases for ranged meta might just be to start hammering projectile damage reduction into our builds. It helps a lot against the big numbers, to be sure, and also reduces the damage of projectile-based spell attacks like Fireball, Magic Missile, Dark Bolt, etc. as well. Anyway, thank you for coming and checking out this video. Apologies if I ended up sounding weird here. I look forward to being able to speak to you again with my real voice. Anyway, thank you for coming and checking out this video. Apologies if I ended up sounding weird here. I look forward to being able to speak to you again with my real voice. Please come check out the streams if you think it'd be interesting, and consider subbing the channel here if you find the content informative. Thanks for lending me your eyeballs. I'll see you in the next one.